Hi, your homeschool doula here, Amanda. Welcome back for another video. I just put the kids to bed and so my house is quiet finally and I have a moment to record this video, which I should have done probably last month, but here we are. Today we're going to be talking about homeschool curriculum styles and styles of learning and styles of teaching. Starting school up again in the fall is right around the corner. A lot of you started up today, along with the public school calendar. But today we're going to be talking about how to choose a curriculum. These days, homeschooling has so many options, including so many curriculum options. It can be pretty overwhelming to try to choose which curriculum will best fit your child and your family. So today I'm going to sum up, or just overview, some of the basic curriculum styles to help you narrow down which curriculum style you like to better choose which curriculum you want to buy. So I'm going to start with the most structured or the most supported down to the least structured or the least supported. So the first style is a hybrid style. The hybrid style is where you partner with a public school and they send you what you need and you partner with them for help at home, for teacher support, for tests, for curriculum. They send everything your way, or it's all online through the public school system. So you are still at home, but you are under the jurisdiction of someone else. And that takes some of the pressure off the parents to come up with their own thing, redesign the wheel per se. Like, it's all planned out for you. You don't have to do anything except for show up, basically, and support your child through that education. So that is a hybrid. The next style is traditional, and that is more like a public school at home. K through 12 is an example of this. An all-in-one is what they call it. They send you everything you need to do in a box and you just go ahead and do it and send it back to them for grading or grading it yourself. Success in these programs is often measured by proficiency in memorization or by extensive testing. The next style is classical style. This is very traditional based as well, but it's set up into 3 different stages of learning. We call it grammar, logic, and rhetoric. The idea is you learn about facts when you're young, make connections at the 2nd stage, and make opinions and critical thinking at the 3rd stage. It's very rigorous, with an emphasis on learning Latin. Unit studies is my 3rd one. I personally like unit studies quite a bit. It connects it all into one main focus. For example, sometimes people organize their unit studies around a spine, is what they call it, or a book. So say you're reading Moby Dick or Ella Enchanted or whatever spine you choose to read. You can branch off into those, into the history of the area, the history of the author's life, do some math problems based on fathoms of the sea. I'm learning more about ocean life, about historical events around that time period, writing your own essay, mimicking his style maybe. So you choose one thing and you branch out and you do everything around that one topic until you've exhausted it and you're done. And you move on to the next spine or the next topic. Some people do these with countries or with whatever you want. It's like this book is wide open with this one. You can pick a unit study around literally anything and go as far and as wide and as deep as you want until you move on to the next one. Because it's so broad though, it does require a lot of hands-on exploration. It's not structured at all as like open and go a curriculum in a book. You have to kind of make it up as you go along, which can be intimidating for some homeschoolers. There are some set curriculums though that do base around unit studies. Hands of a Child, Bookshark, and Homeschool Legacy curriculums are a couple of options. The next 3 I've kind of lumped together, although they are separate. We have Charlotte Mason, Waldorf, and Montessori. They're all about being in nature, being grounded, being holistic, very connective, focused on the arts and humanities. literature, poetry, music. They have all the books that you read have strong moral characters that teach strong moral values. The Good and the Beautiful curriculum is one that tries to mirror Charlotte Mason. The difference between Charlotte Mason and Waldorf is that Charlotte Mason tries to focus on small, concise 10 to 20 minute lessons and then exploration of the child, while Waldorf focuses on long, in-depth, intense lessons of maybe 40 minutes to an hour, depending on the child and attention span. But all three of those last ones, Waldorf, Montessori, and Charlotte Mason, reject industrial learning, reject textbooks, reject testing. So that can be intimidating for some who don't know how to gauge whether your child is learning if you don't have a test. But if you can trust that your child is learning and you can see and experience it with your child, it can be a very freeing and beautiful experience. And then the most free and unstructured and unsupervised is called unschooling. And unschooling can get a little bit of a bad rap from people, especially those who just take it at face value. So the heart of unschooling is that the child knows what he needs to learn, and it's child-led education. Now, this doesn't mean that they don't have any education. It means that the child chooses which education he needs to have, with the parent supporting and guiding as the child needs. Now, this might mean the child says, "Mom, I want to learn about dinosaurs." So the mom says, "Okay, well, let's check out the books in the library. Let's find some YouTube videos. Let's go on a field trip. Let's learn about dinosaurs." It's not the mom saying, "Child, we're going to learn about dinosaurs today. Here's your resources." It's the child coming to the parent and saying, "Here's what I want to focus on," for however long. And they can go as long as they need to or want to until they move on to the next topic. Now, some say that this style of education leads to holes in your learning, which can be true, for sure. The answer to that is not every child will need all the things. I agree that everyone should have a base knowledge and understanding of life and culture and what goes around them. But proponents of this style of education argue that their child will find what they need, and when they need to learn it, they will learn it quickly and easily. Now, so that was the last one, but there's actually one more, which is the most popular method. It's called Eclectic. Eclectic means what it sounds, a little bit from everything. It's not a purist, it's not a die-hard. You just choose what you want from everything and take it and run with it, and then assess the situation and adjust as needed whenever you need. This is almost always where homeschool parents will end up, with an eclectic education. It's highly individualized to the child and to what the child needs year by year. For some parents, this means 1 year, maybe the first year they take them out of public school, it's an unschooling year. Let the child explore their interests, let them dive into what they want, let them discover that they have interests in the first place. And then maybe the next year, you do more of a Waldorf, outdoors, pure literature-based poetry, love of learning education. Then maybe the next year you need a little bit more structured, so you go into more of a classical with unit studies on the side. And then after a while, the child is able to go back to unschooling and explore his interests for a time with a bit of math and science on the side with the curriculums. And then maybe your child will do well in public school for a couple of years in high school or community college. It's very individualized, which is the beauty of homeschooling. So with these styles, if one speaks to you, if one jumps out to you, like, "Oh yeah, I value tests. I value knowing where my child is at and having my child know where he is at so that we can better prepare them for college or the future." And then maybe you would go for a more classical or traditional school. Or make up your own tests if you're doing Eclectic or Charlotte Mason or Waldorf. If you value nature and being outside and very holistic and pure and morals-based education, you'd probably lean more towards Charlotte Mason. And if you know that that is what you want, you can look up Charlotte Mason curriculum on Google or in your Facebook homeschool pages. It just narrows down the myriad of curriculums out there to 1 or 2 different styles, and then you can narrow it down from there. Once you've got it narrowed down to a few curriculums, my next piece of advice is don't go out and buy all of it. Even if you think you love it, even if you think your child's going to love it, even if you think it's going to be the best out there possible, and you've watched bloggers and people online rave about it, don't go out and buy the whole thing at the beginning, because you don't know what your child is actually going to think or what you're actually going to think, and you might waste a whole bunch of money and time and energy trying to force a curriculum that does not work for you or your family at that time. I would recommend buying 1 year at a time, or trying to find a free month or a free sample, or find a friend who has one that you could borrow so you can try it out first before you commit to it. I know probably most of you have already bought your curriculums for this year, but if you have not, then hopefully this helps you. And don't be afraid to switch it up mid-year. Don't be afraid to reevaluate and ditch the old and try something new if it is just not working. There are so many options out there. You do not need to try to force something that is not working for you or your child's learning or teaching style. Try again with something else and try to find a free sample first before you buy it. So thank you for listening, and if this was helpful, comment down below what learning or teaching style stands out for you. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.